Hey, good afternoon, Sharad, Nachiketa, and Kaustav.
Good afternoon.
I
I
said,
said,
I was hoping that at least today I'll get to see your faces. But I think 36th day. But if you remember, we shut offices. I think about at least a week before the formal shutdown announced. Correct. I think we are into our 42nd or the 43rd day now.
yep.
To all the attendees, a very good
It's been
afternoon from all of us in the panel. I'm Siddharth Gupta. I'm the CEO for Mercer Metal. And since it's still a minute to go for the formal time for the webinar, so we would just maybe pause for a couple of minutes and allow other people to join as well. Just to tell you a bit about the attendees, we have more than 300 people already logged in now. So I really look forward to a very engaging session. Till that time, you have to suffer me and suffer my co-panelists chit-chatting. And would request each one of you, if you could just drop in a small hello to everybody else and also introduce yourself in a single line, that would be great. So thank you so much for your patience and look forward to a very engaging webinar today. So Sharad, how has lockdown been for you?
well, so far so good. Uh, it was really a big shift from the business as usual, as you call it, and in the beginning it was a bit challenging, managing the whole work coordination from home. But now I think we've gotten into the groove, and now in fact I'm actually having doubts whether we should even go back to office or not continue from home itself.
Yeah, I think my conversations with most of my friends and colleagues has been that the productivity increase has been drastic because the commute time and the stress of traveling and the flexibility that working from home allows you. I think productivity has gone up, but I'm sure every one of us misses the social interaction that we had. We are fun family, so it's really been long. Frankly, I don't remember ever that I've been away from office for 42 days in a row. How about Nachiketa, Kaustav? Any thoughts on that?
We have been in super productivity mode, and the kind of work that is getting produced by staying at home has been phenomenal. The way the team has pulled together with these changes in the scenarios, the new normal becoming everybody working from home, trying to contact everyone, doing group chats, keeping the morale of all the employees up. I think it's been a huge learning curve. And how teams respond to all kinds of emergencies and difficult situations. They've really shown resilience, and the kind of strength that has come out from people internally really talks a lot about their emotional quotient. So we have smart people, but we also have the most brilliant team around to deliver all client expectations with absolutely no glitches. I think it's been tremendous.
Awesome. Thanks, Nachiketa. I think all the listeners and the viewers must be thinking we guys are full of ourselves. But it's been great to see you and the entire team slog and really make these 42 days count. So thank you so much for that. Costa, any last comments? And I think then we will start quickly because we're already 2 minutes into the webinar.
yes, I agree with Sharad and Nachiketa. I think one of the biggest challenges which we faced as a team was uh, having Zoom calls. And it's an irony that we are doing a Zoom webinar today. But since a lot of work used to happen on whiteboards with markers and pens, it's become slightly difficult to sort of have that sort of engagement. But given the online tools and given all the online Google Sheets and Google documents, I think still we are able to collaborate, and that's been a learning that despite limited resources, if there's a will, you can sort of work around it.
Thank you so much, Kaustav. I think we will formally start the webinar now. Before I launch into it, a big thank you from all of us at Mercer Metal to nearly 500 people who are now and counting, who have already logged in, and hopefully this count will only go up. A couple of housekeeping rules. One, we have put you on mute, but the chat window is on. You could drop in questions at any time during the webinar, because the whole idea is not to have a monologue from our end. We want to show you the online assessment platform of ours, show you the capability, and then have a dialogue with you about how you could go about taking your next steps in automating your examination system. So it is a very interactive 1 hour that we have planned, and please do utilize this. We are all at home and we have connected through our home network. So if there is any drop because of power cut or something, please bear with us. We would try and come online as soon as possible. But there could be some minor, dogs coming in and kids coming in. So just, bear with us during these times. So thank you so much once again. A very good afternoon to all our viewers. Thank you so much for taking out time and being with us today. These are tough times, but we promise that we'll make this 1 hour worth the investments that you made. Quick word about the panelists. I'll just introduce Sharad, Nachiketa, and Kaustav, who are my co-panelists, and I'm Siddharth Gupta, the CEO of Mercer Metal. Sharad is Chief Product Officer of Mercer Metal, somebody who's got more than 2 decades of experience with very marquee MNCs as well as Indian IT services organization. So he has been with us for long, and he heads a very talented and brilliant team of product managers, and Nachiketa and Kaustav both are part of his team. Thank you, Sharad, for joining this webinar and taking out time. Nachiketa is heading Examine platform. So that's the platform we use for automating the exam process for all our customers. So she heads all product development, and she also works with Kaustav, who's again leading a very brilliant team which is responsible for all AI-based product innovations in Metal, and he works with Nachiketa as well to ensure that the remote invigilation solution that Metal has is the most accurate and well adopted solution of ours for building authenticity into the exam process. So that's my panel for you. I will maybe give them a chance. Any one of my co-panelists, if you really want to introduce yourself and add something to it, or if you are okay with it, I could continue with a small preamble to what we want to do today, and how we will plan out the agenda for this next 1 hour.
Let's jump right into it, Sid.
Thank you so much. So I think you'll agree that COVID-19 has totally altered our worldview in the last 6 weeks. I think I was one of the most optimistic leaders in India till late March 10th. I was mentioning to my team that this year is going to be the most phenomenal year in terms of performance, and suddenly in 15-20 days the entire worldview went topsy-turvy. But it's my firm view that education ecosystem for sure would be changed for a long time to come, and the reason for that is I can imagine a slight hint of a similar outbreak or even a scare, not even an outbreak, and authorities and decision makers will be very quick to shut places of mass gathering. And especially education institutes which house the next generation in sizable numbers at any given point in time, I feel have to prepare for the new world order. And I think that's my summary of how COVID-19 would impact. We'll speak about it more as the webinar goes forward. But the optimist in me sees a silver lining in these dark clouds. The fact that all of us are getting together and working on our abilities to educate and assess remotely and virtually to keep education always on, I think is really heartening to see. And I really look forward to discussing what problems you're facing and how can we resolve for it. So that's the agenda of the webinar today. Diving right into the topic, over the last month, we've been getting a lot of queries from educational institutes on how to conduct online examinations, and mostly what they want to know is what solutions are available as of today, because I think that realization has set in that we have to prepare for at least 3 to 4 months going forward. How easily and quickly can we deploy some of these solutions? Because we have to remember that we are still in a lockdown situation. where the admin of the institute, the professors and the students are all locked up in their respective houses. So do we have the capability to deploy a system and do this change management well? So that's the second bigger query that comes to us. The one biggest apprehension that we have come across is whether the academic rigor or the integrity of the exam process can be maintained while moving from a traditional examination system to an online system. So that's the third query that we usually receive. And then finally, a request to spell out where to start and what are the next steps to take. So that's the reason we said we'll kind of divert from a typical panel discussion and try to speak at 35,000 feet. We will get right deep into an actual demo of an online examination system that we have. My team was insisting that I call it a deminar, not a webinar, because I think people are sick of attending webinars. So I'm kind of going off track and calling still it a webinar. But what we'll do is we'll dive deep into addressing all of these points that I mentioned just now through a live demo of our online examination portfolio, where each of Sharad, Nachiketa and Kaustav would take in a role, and they will play the role of a professor, admin, and a student, and they'll show you how easy it is for you to adopt an online examination platform of Mercer Metal at scale. Before I move forward, we thought, since the platform allows us, why not also give you a small poll? So the poll question would be visible to you on your screens. The question is, what are the key challenges you face or you think that you will face while conducting an online examination? So I think this poll is going to be on for about a minute or so. So please do respond quickly. We will try and pick up the top 3 concerns that come out in this poll, and we'll try and address that during the course of the demo. Quickly, it's at the risk of becoming a monologue from my end, I'll just quickly summarize. For some of you who have mentioned that you don't really know Mercer Metal that well, let me just give you a very, very quick introduction to Mercer Metal. We are an online assessment platform. We have been curating and administering online assessments which can measure competencies for more than 9 years now. So not a young company, but a very innovative and a fast growing HR tech company. We work with more than nearly 4,500 odd corporates. Out of them, about 200 plus are educational institutes who use our platform to conduct exams of various formats like entrance exams, quizzes, semesters, midterms, or final exams. We also have the honor of working with some of the best brands. Some of the Indian names I would like to tell you about are IIM Bangalore, Indian School of Business, Narsing Monji, SP Jain, XLRI, Amity, UPA. So I could rattle off nearly 150 odd very marquee education setups who are already working with us. A bit on the scale that we manage, because I think one of the queries that usually come to us is that we have thousands of students and they take multiple exams during the year. Do you have a test engine which can support those numbers? So we delivered 20 million assessments on our platform last year in the calendar year from January to December, hitting a peak of nearly 100,000 in a day in October 2019, and out of which about 70% of them were remotely invigilated. So it's a world record. We've actually checked, so if you're looking at an online examination system which you feel whether it can scale or not, we have a living proof that test engines have matured to a level where they can support your online examination needs. For me personally, I'm Siddharth. I have been part of the Mercer Metal leadership for last 4 years. Have seen Metal, which is a product of Make in India and Startup India. Both founders were from IIT and IIM combination. I've seen Metal grow to from a few hundred people to the largest online assessment company in the world. So I've had the honor of being part of this journey. I'm currently in the role of CEO at Mercer Metal for the last 1.5 years. So thank you once again for joining this webinar. Very quickly to start with the topic, and then I'll hand over to Sharad to dive deep into the demo. Let's look at the traditional examination process. I think all of us are fairly well versed with it, but no harm in a quick refresh. At the center of this process is either a controller of examination or a faculty member who needs to set up a test paper or needs to coordinate with multiple professors, for different subjects for multiple question papers, and then take care of the entire logistics associated with running an examination, checking availability of rooms, invigilators, and then marry it all together, and then hope like hell that nothing gets missed. So overall, weeks and months of planning to execute one exam cycle. Even for students, it is the added pressure of getting just one shot at getting the right grades, the stress of reaching the right test center at the right time, well prepared, and then after you've given the test, the agonizing wait for weeks, if not months, to get the results. So in this demo, we'll actually show you all of these processes can be quickly automated and actually can be bettered by taking these exams online. So for example, for a faculty or an institute, the ability to configure question papers at scale online from anywhere, anytime is something that we'll actually show you on the test platform. We'll show you how you can remotely schedule multiple exams through different slots, through different attempts that you want to give to the students, how you can remotely invigilate. So even the academic integrity piece, it comes in 3 levels of integrity. So we'll show you all the 3 levels of integrity that can be built into the entire exam process using AI and human invigilators. And then we'll also tell you about question formats that we support, so that if you adopt those question formats, then the results can be in real time as well, because these test engines have grading logic built into it. So if you have baked in the right answers, then automatically once the student presses the finish button, you would actually get the results in real time as well. Similarly for student, obviously the flexibility of no disruption. So even if you're at home, if you have access to a desktop and a laptop with webcam, then you can take assessments anytime, anywhere. If there is randomization available in questions or multiple question papers already created for a subject of same difficulty level, you might get multiple shots as the exam as well. Plus, if the question format is adopted, then you can get near real-time results as well. So we will show you in the first part of the demo how different types of exams can be conducted, whether it's an entrance exam, quiz, semester, or final. We will speak about what all types of question formats do we accept, whether some of the queries are very simple, like do I need to upload every question? No, you can actually take your entire data bank and you can at a click of a button upload it into our systems. There are many queries like what kind of answer types do you support? So the online engines today support the usual suspects like MCQs or long answer types, short answer types, fill in the blanks, but even questions which need answers with formulas, symbols, graphs, all of that is today supported on the test engine as well. And remember, please, all of this is happening on the cloud. So these exams can be rendered online. It can be accessed from any device, whether it's a desktop, laptop, or a mobile, if you have even very basic bandwidth. So what we have mastered over 9 years is our ability to compress data packets so that we can break streaming videos into small data packets and do proper invigilation as well as conducting assessments with very limited bandwidth. So that would be the first part of the demo. The second part of the demo we've reserved completely to address the second most important apprehension that all of you have, that is around the academic rigor or the integrity. I think all of you would agree with me if I say that the value of any institution or a degree is most reflected by the rigor of the exam process, whether it's the entrance exam, semester, or the final exam. And if the examination process of any institute can be cracked by using unfair means, then the value associated with that degree and the institution really plummets down. So it's a very serious matter. We have actually been spending our research time as well as our research dollars for the last 6 years now to create an AI-based algorithm, which has been trained over 2 million assessments that people have taken. And then we have trained it to catch digressions or any attempt by a student to use unfair means to game the assessment. So we would actually present to you the 3 levels of authenticity that we've built on top of the assessment platform. And then at the end, maybe I'll come back post Sharad, Kaustav, and Nachiketa. I've demoed you the entire platform. I'll come back and then I'll maybe summarize the entire webinar, and then we'll get into a Q&A. So a lot of talking has happened. I'm sorry for this long monologue. I will hand it over to Sharad, Nachiketa, and Kaustav to start the demo now. And I would be available on the chat window answering some of your queries. And then I'll come back and also take questions in the last 15-20 minutes of the webinar. Thank you so much, Sharad, over to you.
Thank you, Sid, for the amazing summary. And very warm welcome to all the attendees. A very good afternoon to you all. Thanks for keying in the poll. As you would have noticed, so the top 4 concerns or the top 4 queries that have come up on the poll are the ones that are listed here. So essentially, preventing students from cheating. That is the topmost challenge. The second one is connectivity and accessibility in remote areas where the internet speed might not be as great. The third is again, and it's a very normal thing, that of course the platform has to be very easy to use. And yes, it should support multiple question types and format online. And lastly, it is the scheduling of assessments. So I'm very happy to say that, in our demo, we are going to be covering all 4 of these. And so essentially, the first part of the demo, like Sid mentioned, what we are going to address is show you all the question types that are available on the platform. Then choose how to create a question of a particular type. So for example, fill in the blanks, MCQ, maybe a long answer type question. Then using the questions that you have created, how easily can you put them together in an assessment? Then enable the anti-cheating measures in that assessment settings, deliver the assessment link to students, and then what is the candidate experience at the student end when he clicks on the link and takes the assessment. And finally, the insightful report that you get at the very end of the test, which is almost instantaneous. So these are the 4 high-level demo parts that we'll be jumping into. So I would now like to request my colleague Nachiketa, who heads the Examine platform, and she would start sharing her screen and take you through the process of explaining the various question formats that are available and creation of questions and assessments. So Nachiketa, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sharad, for that. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking out time to join us. Like Sid said, it's a very pertinent question in today's life to carry on with the new normal that we have. So we'd like to introduce you to our platform. I'm taking the persona of a professor who needs to first add questions and submit their question banks, post which these will be used to create tests. So on our platform, we have different question types. Now, what these question types mean is that you can collect response from children in different ways. For example, we have MCQs, you can have MCAs, you can ask them to do a fill in the blank type, short answer type. You can get them to type long essays, or if they have files that they have worked on, which are, particular to architecture type courses or some science courses, you can upload files that are available. We also support a diagram type question, which helps you to draw all kinds of flow charts, electrical diagrams, etc. So let me just show you how quick and easy it is to add something here. You can create something called question banks. You can input the text here. I'm just writing a sample. Okay, you can put in the answer choices, mark which one is correct, and simply save. And we also have bulk formats available, and the Excel is as simple as putting in what topic you'd like, the question text, the answer option, and all bulk setting options are available. And you can download a template from here, upload it, and you're ready to go. So you can add millions of questions at the click of a button. It's extremely simple. Once you've added your question bank, you need to create tests. This is an important part where the controller of examination will choose from different types of question banks submitted from teachers, so that there is anonymity of what the question paper is going to be. Okay, it's very simple to create a test. For example, if I were to create a general test, you can create it for your subjects, mark whether it's for an entrance exam or for university exams, proceed. And the question banks that you have just added can be simply added over here. Okay. So I'm just going to add one bank at the minute and show you different kinds of settings. You can choose the difficulty level as easy, medium, difficult. You can choose the number of questions. Like Sid and Sharad just pointed out, it's very easy to assign grades to something as positive marking or negative grades. Both are allowed. And once you have set up what the blueprint of your assessment is going to be, and chosen that these are the particular questions, these are the particular marks you'd like to assign. Say, for example, this is a 10-mark question, and this is, say, a 5-mark question. You can choose test setting options. You can choose to give special instructions to students. I'll show you how that is done as well. You type it here. And one of the sample assessments that we take will also have this text coming up for it. What you can also do is add different sections to this. So for example, this becomes a section 2. So most question papers generally have about 4 sections to them with different kinds of scorings. You can even choose to give special instructions to students for a particular section. You can choose to randomize the questions as well as the answer option so that nobody can cheat. Okay. And no one student gets the exact same question paper. Once you save that test, it becomes, and you can choose the duration of the test. I'm just putting in 20 minutes for now. You can add in any duration that you like. So once you have created the test, what you can do is choose how it's going to be delivered and what kind of security settings you can put on it. So for example, if you choose that this test should only open at a certain time and, you know, for 2 hours or 3 hours, you can choose that from here. You can enable the Metal Secure browser. What this will enable you to do is that no other application will run on the student's machine other than this lockdown browser. Okay. And this is generally used for high stake tests and not low stake tests. What you can also do is enable browsing tolerance. What this means is that the student cannot navigate away from the test window. If they do so, they'll be shown a red warning. One of my colleagues will just show you that. The AI engine, which Sid and Sharad have talked about, you can switch that on with settings that you need. And there you go. You have the test link, which my colleagues have, and will also show you how this test link can be run. So you just send out an email with this test link and the students can start their test from there. So that's the test creation and the application of security settings on the test. My colleagues Kaustubh and Sharad will show you how this can be proctored.
Thank you, Nachiketa. So I think with this demo, right, you would be able to see how easy it is to create various question types, put them in an assessment, schedule an assessment, and set up various levels of proctoring settings. So now what we have done is that the test that we just created in front of you, we have shared the link of this test to a couple of people who will be now acting as the students who will be attempting this test. So Kaustubh is acting as a candidate at the moment. And when he clicks on the test link, this is the process flow that would happen.
Sharad, while Kaustubh prepares for the demo, maybe I would like to add that, you know, we've shown you a very simple process by which you can create a question paper and upload it yourself. But our experience has been, because in India, most education setups will have, you know, very large number of subjects, a very large number of question papers that need to be, and questions within that need to be uploaded. So what we've done is, beyond just creating a tech platform, we actually have a very strong operation and customer support team as well. So in case, and especially in these times where everybody is locked up in their own houses, we have this service by which we could help you create question paper, we can help you online schedule, and we could actually run the drive for you as well. And in case you are not able to get proper number of proctors in these kind of locked up times, then we have a huge team of proctors as well available with us. So we actually, you could offload the entire work of running the exam onto our team and we can execute it for you. Yeah. Go ahead, Sharad.
Yeah. Right. So thank you, Sid. So as you all saw, Nachiketa created an assessment, and the assessment can be opened via assessment link. So I've already copied the link in my browser. Once I click on launch test, the first thing that happens for the candidate is in a proctored test, we ask for the screen permissions as well as the camera and the microphone permissions. So using these 3 feeds, we go ahead and start proctoring the test. Once these permissions are given, post that, this test starts to load. Probably take a few seconds. Right. After the test has loaded, the candidate can look at what is the composition of the test. So they are made aware of the total number of questions, the total duration of the test, the number of different sections in the test, whether this particular section is timed or untimed, and certain things to remember, which are critical for the candidate to follow when the test is happening. So this is like a disclosure to the candidate around what all they will see in the test. The next important stage is where the candidate starts to fill his registration details. So we ask the candidate to fill his email address and also the first name. You can add more registration fields if needed, depending upon your course, your exam, your setting. The next thing that we do in a proctored test is to take the snapshot of the candidate. So this is where the first level of authenticity checks in, which we call as candidate authorization. So we ask the candidate to capture a photo of his face, and we also ask an ID card from the candidate. Both of these data points are captured in the report, as well as in case you go for live authorization, there will be a proctor sitting at the other end who will manually verify that these information match, and only then the test will be allowed to start. Now, once the authorization has been done, the candidate is able to start his test. Here, they can choose which section do they want to start, or they can actually go ahead and start the first section. Since this is a proctored test, the candidate is also notified that your session will be monitored. You can also have section instructions before every test. So in this case, Nachiketa has just included a dummy section, but in case there are specific instructions that you want to pass on to the candidate for any section, that is also possible. So what you see here is the first question. This is an MCQ type question. You can see that there is a test timer here. Then after that, you have the number of questions in this particular section and whether the candidate has answered all the questions or some questions are left unanswered. In the second section, what you see is a fill in the blank question. So here the candidate can type in an open response. The third is a long answer type question. So this is the descriptive type question that is very useful for examinations, particularly when you want to give candidate a topic on which he has to write about. So here the candidate can go in and type whatever he wants to. The answer will be graded by the professor in the report, which we will show in a while. Also, what you have here are the ability to insert special characters. So this is the formatting editor. You can also have, you have the option of inserting special symbols. You also have the option of typing mathematical equations. So this is the math editor, so to say. And here you can have all kinds of shapes and symbols that you want to put. So you just saw I inserted a particular formula. The very cool thing about this is you can also go ahead and type, and it will auto recognize what symbol we have typed, and you can insert this in the response. Similarly, you also have a chemistry editor where you can have different formulas and different equations which can be made. This is a multiple choice answer question, so you can choose one or more answers. This is a question type where we've actually inserted a mathematical equation in the question. So in case you have to ask the candidate to do some sort of integration or derivation or any mathematical equation oriented questions, those can be included in the question type as well. Right, and lastly, you have an upload type question. So in case you want the candidate to type out the response in a Word file or an Excel sheet and upload it, that is also possible. There is also the possibility of creating rich media content questions. So here you've seen we've embedded a YouTube link, a video in the question content. The last question type that we have is around the ability to make diagrams. So you can have all sorts of flowcharts that you can make, the different shapes and symbols which are available. And you can also go on for more advanced types of diagrams, which will probably help you in engineering drawing or flowchart based questions, right? So this is the diagram type question. So this is the candidate experience, very simple. What I would like to do now is to hand this over to Sharad, and Sharad can show you the proctor experience. Sharad, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Kaustubh. So as everybody could see, we have tried to cover the most common question types and try to show you out here how easy it is for the candidate to kind of go and answer these questions. Now, while the candidate, which is Kaustubh, is answering the questions, what I'm going to show you now is how you can easily proctor it sitting anywhere in the world. And I see on the chat that there are a lot of questions around, how do I prevent the student from going outside the screen? How do I prevent the student from using a mobile? Or maybe asking somebody, what if somebody else is also there in the room? So I would try to answer that now. Now, as you can see, so this is webinar sample is the assessment that Kaustubh is taking. You can see this is in progress. So there is one candidate which is currently taking this test. When I click on this, I can now jump to basically checking how the student is doing. So you can see there is a list of all the assessments. So at one given time, you can have multiple assessments being run, and you can proctor candidates for each of these assessments. So right now we can see there is one candidate available in the live feed, which is Kaustubh. I'm going to click on this live feed. And here you basically get a classroom view. So right now we have only one candidate who's taking the test, but typically this classroom can have 20, 30, 40 candidates, which are available for one proctor to proctor them. Now, if you see this small window, this is the thumbnail of one of the candidates, which is Kaustubh. You can see there is a red, boundary which is drawn, and there is a small red flag shown. This basically denotes that there is some sort of cheating, possible cheating that may be happening on this window. Now you are seeing Radhika, who's also come on to take this test, but Radhika is probably a good candidate. She is not cheating, but for Kaustubh, you can see there is a red flag which has been raised. I can go inside Kaustubh style. And here I can see that the flag that has been raised is that candidate is not present. So that means the candidate might have gotten up, gone to refer to a book, or maybe going and speaking to somebody, right? In which case, what the proctor can do is they can either chat with the candidate. So here by clicking on this chat icon, I can tell the candidate, please come back to your seat. Now, this is a message which is in real time sent to the candidate, and candidate should be taking some action on this. In case we see that candidate is not adhering to the instructions given by the proctor, proctor always have the option of pausing this test, as a warning. And now when the candidate comes back and adheres to the instructions, we can continue the test. In case the proctor feels that candidate is quite insistent on cheating and is not adhering to instructions, the proctor can also stop the test by clicking on this red icon out there. At any given point of time, right now you are seeing the feed of the candidate face. So you see when the candidate is looking away, and this could happen when there is somebody else in the room and candidate may be talking to them. So we have raised a flag saying candidate looking away from the screen. Now all of this is happening via AI, artificial intelligence. At the same time, you can take a look at the candidate screen by this toggle button out here. So when the candidate is cheating, you can also toggle to the screen and see what exactly was happening at the screen on that given time. So for example, you would be able to figure out if the candidate has moved away and gone to Google or maybe referring to some other help text. For certain cases, if you really want to kind of see the live feed of the candidate, you can press this button, which is switch to live. And the moment you press it, you start receiving a live feed from that particular candidate. So there was echo because there was a real-time live connection between me and Kaustubh. During the test, there could be certain concerns regarding impersonation. So for example, maybe Kaustubh had started the test, but in between somebody else came and sat instead. So what the proctor can do typically is that by clicking on the registration details, he can make sure that it is the same person who had started the test and who had shown their identity card at the beginning of the test, who is being shown on the live feed screen. And in case it is not, the proctor can go ahead and stop the test. On the right-hand side, you would see there are some red and orange and black test logs that are coming. These are essentially helpful text and helpful logs for the proctor to quickly see that what are the sort of events that are taking place for this particular candidate. Now, if you see here at 12:37, there is a log which says away from test window. Now, if you just click on this, the screen will basically shift and show you what was the other screen that the candidate has moved on to. Right? Similarly, when you see another log which is candidate not present, I can simply click here and it will show me the instance, the particular instance in time where the candidate was not on their seat. So this you see, and this all of these test logs and all of these screen grabs will be part of the final report that will be generated as soon as the test is over, so that it is available for you and the faculty at the end of the test and for whatever time period you want to keep it, so that you can audit the test log at any given point of time in future as well. So this is the proctoring experience out here. I'll just close this. And now we see, I'm back to the classroom view, and we see that Radhika is also trying to cheat, right? So I can go out here and I can see that there is a mobile phone detected flag at 12:37. I click on this and I see that there is a mobile phone detected on the screen. So using this AI and a combination of human proctors, we are able to deliver very high stake tests, which could be entrance exams, which could be semester exams, without the fear of any student being able to cheat. I will now take you to the report. So I would request Kaustubh and Radhika to finish their test. And once their test is finished, I would basically take you through the report that has been generated. And in that report, we'll see how these flags and all these instances of cheating have been captured.
Sharad, I've done the test. I think you can just
okay.
Go to the grading section.
I'll just refresh my screen. And I can see there were 2 test takers who have finished their test. And this is the reporting page. So you will have the list of all the candidates who have basically taken this test. You can search, there are various filters which are available out here, basis, performance, schedule, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on Kaustubh's report. And here is the report that is present at the end of all the tests. You can see you have the basic tenets of the report, the test taken time, the registration details. So during the report checking, you can also again check whether it was the same candidate or somebody else. You can see the overall summary. So as you remember, there were 7 sections, and these are the marks that are scored. These are the percentiles. We also give summary of attempts. And here is the section-wise detail. So section 1, how many marks he scored, what was the percentage, what was the time taken, so on and so forth. And this is available for all the sections out here. I'm just going to scroll down and take you to the proctoring log that we show. And here you can see, in the section 2, we are also showing what is the answer that was given by Kaustubh. And you have an option of reevaluating it manually. So there is one option which is auto-graded, where the system will auto-grade the correct answer. But I think in most of the edu institutes scenario, there are professors who would like to grade it themselves. So there is an option of re-evaluating or evaluating manually, and this option can be leveraged to grade marks manually. Jumping to the last part, which is the test log. So if you see, here is the video recording of the time that I had seen Kaustubh's session live. Here are all the logs that were generated. So if you see this red portion, this basically shows the time where the candidate was involved in certain cheating activities. So here we see that candidate was not present. I can go ahead. So the candidate was not present for this whole duration. I can click on the yellow bit and I can see that candidate was looking away from the screen. Similarly, like during the live feed, I can toggle to the screen view and I can see that right now the candidate was doing the test. But as I move forward, the candidate has toggled out of the test and it is in some other window. In this case, this is a Zoom window, but it could be Google, it could be Bing, it could be any search engines. And out here, it is the test log that I explained earlier. So all of this is available to you for your reference anytime in future for any of the audit purpose. In case the student comes back and says that I was not cheating and what is the proof that you have to show that I was cheating, you can at a click of a button refer to this report and point out the exact place where the student was not available or the student was caught cheating. So this is the final part of our demo where you see the detailed report. I would like to hand it back now to Sid to summarize this whole flow, and maybe we can open for question and answers post that. Sid, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sharad, Nachiketa, and Kaustubh. A lot of questions. I think we still have a lot of time, so we will take them one by one. But overall, in summary, the question is, what should we look for in an online assessment platform if you want to select one? So one is obviously exam is a here and now business. So if an exam needs to start at 9, it has to start at 9. It cannot start at 9:01. So because student would believe his life has ended and he's not got a fair chance to score. So a very robust, scalable system which is fail-proof. So you need to make sure that you evaluate online assessment vendors for being very, very robust and run assessments, pilots to ensure that you are satisfied that the load that you want them to run can run on this particular test engine. The other one is the authenticity. So varying degree of authenticity is needed for different types of exams. Not all are entrance exams and not all are final certification exams. So we support all types of exam formats, and what we can do is the AI algorithm, when it catches a digression, you have the flexibility to define what weightage you want to give to what digression. For example, if it's a simple quiz and you want to allow people to open a browser, so we can actually go and reduce the tolerance level and allow a student to open the browser twice or thrice. So depending on what is your definition of authenticity, that can be baked into the assessment, and hence along with the score of the candidate, you'll also get a credibility index for that test defined uniquely for your exam. That's something that is available in Metal examination platform. That's something that you should ask for, because not every exam, not every institute has got the same levels. So everybody has a different ethics committee. They would have different set of rules that they want their students to follow. Third is we should not forget that we are at the end trying to measure learning outcomes. So the examination is a process, but we need to have the examination system as flexible as possible for it to accurately measure what learning outcome you want to measure. So I think these are three parameters that come to my mind in most of my discussions with all education setups on what would make a good partner for online examination system. So that's in a nutshell what we thought we will share proactively with you. There are a lot of questions that have come up. Maybe I'll ask one of my team members, have we prioritized any questions, guys? Can we kind of open up the lines for people? What is our plan for taking in questions from some of the viewers?
So Sid, I think me and my team, we are answering the questions on chat. And maybe some of the top ones you can probably take.
So Sharad, can you maybe pick up the question that most being asked, and then maybe voice it over to the entire group, and then in the meanwhile we can pick up more questions.
Yes. So I think the couple of questions that are getting repeated are around the cheating prevention. And one of the one question is, how do we prevent the user from or the candidate from going outside the test window and referring to, let's say, Google or any search engine? So I think we covered it as part of the demo, but just to reiterate, so there is a setting called browsing tolerance, wherein you can set it up to a very low value of 1 or even 0. And in case a student tries to go out of the test window to refer to the answer from Google or some other place, we will immediately stop the test. So this value of browsing tolerance can be set to any number from 0 to 10. For higher number of browsing tolerance, we typically can configure that the student is given a warning once and twice. And the third time, we can basically stop the test. So this usually discourages the student from going out and trying to cheat. The next question, which is again on a similar lines, is essentially by Yogesh Dubey. And he asked that, will proctoring be easy when 100 students and simultaneously writing exams from 100 different locations? I think this is a very good question and very pertinent one. So that is the beauty of an online exam, that it does not matter how many people and from what all different locations they are logged in. The classroom view where I showed you, where Kaustubh and Radhika were giving the test. So instead of only 2 people writing a test, you will have 100 people who are writing a test. You can then assign proctors. So for 100 people, we typically say that you should have 5 to 6 proctors. So each proctor can oversee 20 people, and they'll have a similar classroom view given to them, where using the AI as well as the manual proctoring, they'll be able to prevent any cheating at that point of time. There's another question, and I think this is a very relevant question from Isaac, and he asked that what is the bandwidth requirement for this test? That is a very good question. So like Sid mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, our solution has been around for 8 to 10 years now. And during this time, there have been a lot of progress done in terms of compression algorithms and video streaming, and also the overall average speed of internet in India has increased. So we have basically ensured that our tests run flawlessly at the low speeds of 512 kbps as well, right? A typical 4G connection, even if a student is using a hotspot or a basic broadband, the average speed today in India is about 5 Mbps. So we are able to conduct these tests at an extremely low bandwidth of 512 kbps as well. Then Jatin has a question. Can we share the logs and proof with the student if he or she complains wrongly that I have not done cheating? Yes, absolutely. This is at a discretion of the university or the school or the college. These logs and these reports are there for your perusal. And in case you want to share it ahead with the student, in case of RTI or any such inquiry, you can do that. There's a question, what is a credibility index, by Baljeet Singh. So credibility index is a feature that that is extremely helpful when you have a large number of people taking the test. So imagine a scenario wherein in a college there are 500 people who are writing a test, and you need to, while checking the final reports, you need to figure out, should I look at each of these 500 reports, or should I only look at people who the AI has tagged that these are the guys who were cheating? So credibility index essentially takes into account all the flags that are raised during a session. So if you remember, during the demo, we had shown red and orange flags. So credibility index is an AI-based process using which it takes the input of the number of flags, the type of flags, and the duration of flags, and it basically generates an index which could be high, medium, or low. So if the credibility index is low, that means the credibility of the candidate taking the test is slightly low, and there is a high chance that this guy was cheating. So what you could do is very easily, out of those 500 peoples, I had shown you filters on the left side of the report page. You can select all the students for whom the credibility index is low, and you can only go and look at those 50 reports instead of going through all the 500 reports. There was one more question. I missed the name of the person who asked, but it's a very good question. This is regarding the cybersecurity part and how secure the platform is. So I think in today's environment, it is extremely important that there are provisions for cybersecurity, and I'm very happy to share that Metal is an ISO 27001 certified company. So we take InfoSec very, very seriously, and we have all the checks and balances in place to ensure that not only the question paper or the question data, but also the personal information data of the candidates is secured using the best industry standards. In addition to ISO 27001, we are also GDPR compliant. GDPR is a relatively newer standard which came 2 years back, and it is now becoming very popular. So we have got compliances to these two very high security InfoSec and privacy related compliances. So there is no worry on that front, I can say that. So there is a question on what is the candidate limit by Gopal Sharma. Gopal, there is no candidate limit per se. We have handled 10,000, 15,000 candidates in an hour's time. So it completely depends upon how many candidates are the colleges willing to throw at us. So at our end, there is no limit. I'm just scrolling down a couple of other questions. So in the meantime, if anybody else would like to answer any of the questions that have popped up, please feel free to do so.
So Radhika, this side, I think there are a couple of questions around the how the change management of this would be applicable at both a student, if students are not comfortable with the system, and what if the professors are not comfortable. So various people are asking for demos and stuff like that. And second thing, maybe something related to this, which can be touched upon, is that how they can refer to the recording and stuff like that. So Sid, can you take, or Sid or Sharath, anybody, if you can take these two.
Yeah, I think totally understand that if you are in a paper pen mode for many years, online assessments would look daunting to you. But I want to assure you that it is a very, very simple process. And it is not that we're just throwing a platform at you and you need to learn it yourself. We will handhold you in terms of understanding and giving you a complete download on how easy it is. If still you don't have bandwidth, we have a team which would do most of the admin work for you to set up question papers, upload the question banks, set credibility index for you, schedule the assessments and slots. As I said, we could align proctors and maybe pick few of you as proctors as well. If you want to do your own proctoring, that can be arranged as well. So from a faculty and an institute standpoint, there is a complete operational network available with Mercer Metal, and we can support you, and we are supporting already nearly 200 plus education setups. So believe you me, it will be very easy for you to adopt. On the students front, again, what we have seen with young talent is their ability to learn and quickly adapt to the changing process is something that has amazed us. It's a very simple Google-like interface with questions being shown on one side and you have the ability to write and type. So obviously moving from pen to pen and paper to a typing scenario would take some bit of change management. But how we overcome this is that instead of just throwing the student into a final exam, we create a lot of mock exams where they can come in and practice over time, so that they are more comfortable by the time their final exams come, and then they need to they don't need to familiarize themselves at the point of time of the exam. They can come in early and attempt similar question types and use the tools and things like that. So there is scientific calculator available, there's graph available, there are functions available, chemical formulas available. So a lot of things which are available, but yes, they need to go through and put in the effort to understand the system and how to use it. But we are there. There are tutorials available. There are trainings available from our end that we make this adoption simpler for both students and their faculty. So I hope we'll work with you on the change management process as well, so we can address that. Uh, Radhika, could you repeat the recording part of the question? I didn't get it. Whether it's a recording of the exam process or recording of this particular webinar.
That both type of questions are coming, that whether on the second part we will share the recording of this webinar post the session, but people are also asking, can they review the recording later? Yes. And can it be shared with the committees, or can it be shared with students?
So the standard operating process gets defined, the digressions get defined, the flexibility that we want to give to the student gets defined before the exam is conducted with the student, and a detailed instruction goes to the student about what he is allowed to do and what he is not allowed to do. And there are clear instructions to the invigilators as well in case there are digressions. Say for example, if we are allowing, by mistake, if somebody tries to open a web browser, for example, we will allow it once. It will not open the browser, but it will give you a first warning that you've tried to open and it is not allowed. But if you again try and open a web browser, then it will actually pause the test and you'll have to go back to the administrator to restart your test. So these are SOPs that need to get defined for every exam. So we will work with you to define that. But these are all done before the examination, because we can't have any misunderstanding between the student proctor and the faculty during the exam is being taken. Mostly, if a digression is caught, the credibility index would highlight it. Mostly all our customers would use the archives that we have to put up such digressions of cheating to the ethics committee, and a final decision, if it is challenged, can be reviewed. So there are various levels of authenticity that we can build in. I think Sharad spoke about a continuous stream of screen as well as a continuous video of the applicant taking the entire exam is something that we support. We also support another level of security, which has a metal secure browser on which the test runs, so that you are not allowed to do anything else on the laptop while you are taking the exam. A lower level of authenticity is also where you have just the AI algorithm which is invigilating, and then you get the credibility index, and you can refer back to them post the exam has been conducted to check what kind of digressions that students try to do, and then take a call on the student. So all of these various formats are available for you to use. We usually work with most education setups by doing a small pilot with them to take them through and familiarize them to the exam system, so that they are able to adopt it to their exact needs. Anything else would you like to add, Sharad or Nachiketa?
No, I think that sums it up. There's another question from Nikhil Chopra regarding, is it necessary when university or college are looking for exam solutions, then all 100% students need to be covered, or can we partially implement it for a couple of courses? So the answer is yes. It completely depends upon the college or the university. What courses and what number of students they would like to administer an online test. A lot of educational institutes that we work with sometimes start with that option, but once they see the ease of platform usage and the scale at which it can work, they generally tend to shift 100% to metal.
Maybe Sharad, we can just pick up last couple of questions to answer, and then we can wrap up. And please be rest assured, we have made a note of all the questions. We will create a answer sheet of answer to all your queries, and we will post it back to you. And as well as we will send the recording of this webinar to you as well, so that you can refer back to the relevant sections. So Sharad, over to you for last couple of questions.
Right. I think another question that is coming is that can the students take this test in other languages other than English? So the answer is yes. We regularly are conducting examinations in various languages, both Indian languages as well as international languages. So that is possible.
So last question can be that I think there are a lot of questions around pricing and costing and whether people need to have their own infrastructure set up or not. So maybe if you can shed some.
This entire online examination system is hosted on Amazon. I think a lot of questions around security and auditability and other things are also being asked. So we are hosted in a data center of AWS in India. And as Sharad was talking about, we have all ISOs needed. We have multi-factor authentication. We are actually GDPR compliant as well. So a lot of work has happened around info security, and we can, when we participate in an opportunity with you, we'll share with you our credentials on info security piece. On the infrastructure, you don't need anything. You just need basic laptops and desktops to not only create your own question bank and question papers and remotely schedule, and the student needs a desktop or laptop with a functioning webcam to take the assessment if the network is there. So from an infra standpoint, there is nothing that is needed at your end. Everything can be run completely on our systems, which is on the cloud. So that's why we are working with many more education setups in this time of shutdown, because I know that nobody can even move out of their houses and do something and have a face-to-face meeting as well. So we can manage all of this sitting where we are today and deliver this entire thing at scale for you. So we have, I can't name some of the scale that we are managing, but we are managing for a lot of universities scale of nearly 20,000-30,000 assessments, which are happening over 3 days or 2 days. So all of this is possible. If you want a more detailed discussion, we will leave you with our contact details, and you could just drop a note to us, and we will quickly align a team which will work with you to solve for your specific requirement. We are a SaaS offering. So we don't sell on-prem kind of solution and a very expensive solution. It is usually can be broken down to per assessment as well. In case multiple assessments are needed by a student, we could break it down in terms of a number of students who are going to take the assessments. We could get into a larger, year-long contract with you as well if you have a scale which is very, very large. So we are open to all kind of commercial constructs. We can have this discussion with you, once we are done with this webinar. So with that, I apologize. We have not been able to answer many questions in the Q&A section as well as in the chat. But what I can assure you is that we will address all of these queries and send you a detailed response back, as well as we will share this recording of this webinar with you as well. And you would get a contact detail and a number on which you could reach out to us, and we will for sure start our one-on-one discussions with you as soon as post this webinar end. So thank you so much for your time again. I think we have taken 7 more minutes than an hour that we had thought earlier. So thank you so much for your time again, and look forward to working with all of you. Thank you so much, Sharad, Kaustav, and Nachiketa for taking our time. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. It was a great session. Thank you.